Now let's come to the second stanza of the poem Ode to the West Wind, and it reads, Thou, on whose stream mid the steep sky's commotion loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean. Angels of rain and lightning, there are spread on the surface of thine airy surge, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fiery Maenad, even from the dim verge of the horizons to the zenith's height. The locks of the approaching storm, thou diet of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the doom of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with all thy congregated might of vapors, from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst over here. Now this second stanza of the poem, there is a shift. In the first stanza we had this wind on the earth, but now this wind shifts to the sky, the setting shifts to the sky, and this wind, that is wild west wind, or this west wind, does not only affect life on earth, but it also brings lots of changes in the atmosphere. It brings lots of changes above in the heavens or in the skies, and that is something P.B. Shelley would be hitting at stanza second, as he says, Thou, on whose stream mid the steep sky's commotion loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed. Now, how does earth respond to it? Now, on earth, the dead leaves are driven, and on the sky, what happens? The clouds are let loose, a rain starts falling. And it would be like as if the sky would be letting its, as it says, steep sky's commotion, the sadness of the sky, the tenseness of the sky is let loose through clouds, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean. Now, as if like on earth, in the season of the autumn, when west wind strikes it, the dead leaves start falling. And when this west wind strikes the skies, the rain starts falling. It starts falling from heaven. Angels of rain and lightning are brought back. They are awakened. Who are awakened? The angels of rain and the angels of lightning. They are spread on the blue surface of thine airy surge. Airy surge is when this wind moves upwards towards the sky. And from there it turns, it lets loose the clouds, and then rain starts falling at the end. That rain which falls in this particular season due to the west wind would not be a complete destroyer, but it would be one who would be preserver, who would bring back life from the dead winter and the autumn. Now, how does this airy surge of this west wind take place? He says, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fiery Maenad. Like the bright hair uplifted from the head. Like this Maenad is actually a reference from the Greek mythology. This particular poem, that is Ode to the West Wind, are most of the poems from Romantic age, whether it be Ode to a Grecian urn, whether it be, for example, Ode to Nightingale, or any other poem that you would read from Romantic age, will have some influences or will have some relationship with the Greek mythology. And even in this poem, that is Ode to the West Wind, is not free from that. Now, the Maenad would be a concept that is driven from the Greek mythology. The word Maenad is used usually for a female follower of Greek god of wine, Dionysus. The word Maenad comes from the Greek word Maenads, which means mad or demented. Now, it is said that during the orgiastic rites of Dionysus, Maenads roamed the mountains and forest, performing frenzied, ecstatic dance, and were believed to be possessed by the god. Now here, when he uses this word of some frenzied Maenad, now this wind, as it rises up towards the skies, it also performs similarly as would the Maenad do during the Greek times or in the Greek mythology. Now again, by comparing this surge or the upward movement of wind with the Maynard or with the Greek tradition, P.B. Shelley successfully makes wind as a more stronger, as a more volatile, as more energetic trope. As it says, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fiery Maynard, even from the dim verge of the horizons to the zenith's height. Now it rises from the ground and it reaches the skies, it reaches the limits, or it goes beyond the limits. That which means that this wind, that is west wind, it covers almost whole universe. It covers every nook and corner of the earth. Now why is he developing a motion or the momentum of the poem or of the west wind in such a manner that it seems to be influencing, or it seems to be present everywhere in the world? That is because that this wind, the west wind, is going to be the mouthpiece of Shelley. Shelley wants this west wind to be a speaker of his, so that all the thoughts, all the ideas that P.B. Shelley has in his mind that are scattered, or that are taken to all the worlds, to all the nook and corner of the world. That is why he is making this west wind in such a manner, or speaking about this west wind in such a manner that it is not only present on earth, but it also influences the oceans, it also influences the skies, it also influences the heaven. The locks of the approaching storm, and he says the dim verge of the horizons of the zenith's height, the locks of the approaching storm, which means that it also influences the clouds. The locks of the approaching storm would be a reference to the clouds. That thou dirge of the dying year, to which this closest night will be the doom of a vast sepulchre. Now what he calls this west wind, he calls it the dirge of the dying year. A dirge means a song which is sung on the death of someone, a mourn song. Now this west wind would be the mourn song, because it comes at the death of the winter or at the death of the autumn. The two seasons come to an end, and spring and summer are about to begin, and this energy that this wind brings with itself would be a song which is sung on the death of winter or autumn and on the birth of spring and summer. And what he says, that to which this closing night will be the doom of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with all thy congregated might of vapors. Now the sepulchre is a reference, to a grave, possibly. Sepulchre is a big grave, a tomb, a room-like grave. This is usually said that Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, when he was supposed to be, when he was supposedly crucified, he was kept in a sepulchre, and and then he raised out of that sepulchre after 3 days and 3 nights. And here, autumn and winter, they would be put in the sepulchre, and that sepulchre is created by whom? By west wind, or by this west wind. And why this sepulchre? Because after spring and summer, winter is again going to come, and autumn is again going to come. So for a moment they would be kept in that sepulchre of vapors, from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst here. And this atmosphere that is changing on the skies, as it will bring a rainfall, and he says that this will bring with itself different kinds of climate. There would be black rain, there would be fire, there would be hail and hailstorm, there would be lightning, there would be dark clouds, there would be rainfall, there would be a hailstorm once this west wind has reached or has made its airy surge towards the skies. Now again in the second stanza, west wind is praised for its energy and for its influence over the universe, and for its reach to almost every nook and corner of the world. That was the second stanza from Ode to the West Wind.